So President Trump and his administration have really been pushing a lot of things as they get going. And they're only 2-ish months in now.
Yeah.
One of the things that they're doing is removing a lot of federal aid for like support organizations. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm trying to keep up. There's a lot going on. Some people talk about how fast things are moving with this administration and how many things are being knocked out. So when it comes to federal aid, I've tried to keep up a little bit. I know that but my very limited knowledge tells me that U.S. aid is something that we're trying to support and help places outside of the U.S. Am I understanding U.S. aid correctly?
It also appears that they're removing support from internal organizations that would support people who are in this country.
Yeah. So the amount of what the alleged amount of tax dollars that are going to things in Middle Eastern countries and countries outside of the U.S. Seem to be interesting. I don't know how. I don't know how U.S. policy works on all of these things, and so I admit that. I'm sure that the former administration was not the first administration to fund things outside of the U.S. However, when you see the list of things that the current administration at least alleges that the former administration funded in other countries, you're shocked. You're shocked to see the amount of tax dollars going to some pretty questionable things, at least according to Christian standards, especially Christian standards. But and so it seems like the work, the efficiency that this kind of that the current administration is seeking to work with is a positive thing, and definitely want any of the tax dollars that I spend to be spent well. I do think that, whether we get in, not to get into the whole Christian nationalism conversation right now, but I do think that our government does have a responsibility to govern well. Government is something that God has instituted, put into place, and our government is to execute justice and righteousness in a way that honors God. And so when it comes to the whole, from a strictly political standpoint, the U.S. aid conversation, it does seem, what I'll say as a general statement, it does seem that our government does have the responsibility to what's the word I'm looking for, to audit some of these things and where our money's going, where the money that the citizens of the United States, where that's going. And we should want to know those things. So seems like there's some interesting things being worked on.
But as a Christian, as a church, don't we want to support the underprivileged and those who need this aid?
Yes, we should, and we ought to. And by the way, we do. The church overwhelmingly, historically, has led the way. Christians have led the way in serving and caring for those less fortunate and those underprivileged. But there's been a whole lot of standards imposed on how we do that that I think faithful Christians can actually disagree on. What is that like? How do we do that? What does that look like? Is it there's different policies that I think that faithful Christians can disagree on how we do those things and how we don't do those things. And so, that's a very long conversation too.